Okay, hello everybody and welcome along to the session. Before we get stuck into the interesting parts of all of this, there's an important thing we need to do, and that's acknowledgement of country. So I just want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land. We pay respect to their elders, past and present, for their wisdom, teaching and cultural knowledge. And I extend that acknowledgement out to everywhere around Australia. And I also want to welcome all of our international Alma library people who might be joining in from all sorts of different time zones. So hopefully this is not keeping you up too late, and hopefully you find this a really interesting session. Okay, so why are we here today? A week ago, our hackathon kicked off. And today we're here to hear from the teams who are going to present to us what they've developed over the week. First of all, with our code of conduct, I just want to point that out as well. ANZREG is committed to maintaining a welcoming and collaborative, respectful environment for all of our members, including on our list server and at our events. We try to be as inclusive as we can from all of our diversity we have across our membership. We acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which our Australian members work, and we want to ensure that everyone feels included. So please bring a spirit of shared learning and free exchange of all ideas to this event. If you have any concerns about anything in this area, please contact the chair of ANZREG or any member of our committee, and the link is there on the slide if you wish to do that. Okay, so 1 week ago we launched our hackathon. During that week, some of our members, participants, had to contend with weather, flood emergencies in their town. It's been an interesting week, especially in large parts of New South Wales and southeast Queensland. So there's been some challenges along the way. We had around 15 participants join each day to drop-in sessions, asking questions about how everything worked. So there was a lot of engagement. So we're really excited about that. So in today's session, we will be hearing from those teams. They'll demonstrate their apps to us. We'll have a People's Choice poll. So all of you who have connected will be able to vote on which app you think is the best. And we have a panel who will be doing some judging based on some criteria as well. So let me talk about that a little bit. Rachel, could you promote Stacey, Kate and Josh to panellists, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. So we have two prizes, which are sponsored by Ex Libris. The first one I'll mention is the Best App Award, and there are 3 criteria for judging this: the design aspects, ease of use, and technological solution. So for each of those criteria, the panel of judges will each assign a score out of 5. So it's possible for a maximum score of 45 if a team gets everything perfect in the judges' evaluation. So that's how that's going to work. We also have the People's Choice, and that's going to be a poll of all of the audience members, and I'll put the details of that up on the screen after all of our teams have presented. Now, if some of you are joining from a room with colleagues as well, you will be able to all get, put the link onto your phones or devices or whatever, so that you can also join in the poll, or you'll be able to send in a text message as well to vote for it. Okay, so in the other panelists, are the judges all on screen or available? We'll just introduce them. So we have Stacey Van Groll from the University of Queensland, who is the Discovery and Access Coordinator from the University of Queensland. And we have, she is also the chair of the ANZREG committee. We have Kate Bardwell, who's the Associate University Librarian from the University of Otago and is also on the ANZREG committee. And we have Josh Wiseman from Ex Libris, who's been a great helper with organising this event. So thank you, Josh, and a real expert on how Alma Cloud Apps work. So I'm sure he'll have some good thoughts as he looks at some of these apps. Okay, so the next thing is to actually move on and get our first team up to present. So let's have a look. We need to get some more people on the able to present. So let's have a look. While hopefully they're getting started, I'll just give you a little bit of introduction about Team 1. So Team 1 is called the Validators. Hugh Rundle from La Trobe University, Bronwyn King from the University of New South Wales, and Daniel Henderson from the University of Technology, Sydney. Team 1 had an interesting time. There's only 3 of them. They started off with an idea which was about the Australian Interlibrary Resource Sharing Directory, but another person had to withdraw from the hackathon, and that person was the expert on resource sharing. So we let them choose a different idea, and their idea was the citation checker. So you can just get an idea there of what it's meant to be. Okay, if I stop sharing, I'll let Team 1 take over.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent, good. Sorry, I just had to quickly swap machines, as I said. Now, I was hoping Daniel would demo this because he did most of our coding, I must admit, but he was having a bit of trouble getting to this call. So I've had to quickly take over the demo. Now, what I need to do is just share the correct screen. Let me just work out how to do that. All right. Can you see my screen now?
Yep.
Apologies for that. I had to give Zoom permission to see my screen. Okay, so as you can see, this is the README from our GitHub repository. I just opened this up to explain the use case. So our app is called Citation Checker, and in theory, at least, what this app does is allows you to, when you have a document delivery or interlibrary loan request, you can check the citation details so that before you actually put the request through or accept the request into your system, you can actually check using Crossref that the actual citation details are correct. So the idea is that it will help with document delivery. It's not quite finished yet. We kind of ran out of time due to, life happened while we were in the middle of the hackathon. But I will show you where we got to. I think we did reasonably well. Okay, here we go. So you should be able to now see this is the La Trobe sandbox. So the idea is that we'll be in this resource sharing lending request, for example, and I'll say, gee, I can't be bothered filling in all of these fields. So this is one use case. I go to the Cloud App Center and I use my citation checker app. And I can search by DOI, or I can do a metadata search. So if I've got the DOI, then we just do a DOI lookup. If we have the metadata search, so that's if we don't have the DOI, we can use whatever fields have been filled in, and we'll go check them with Crossref. Now, unfortunately, if you try to do a metadata search at the moment, it tells you that that feature's coming soon. Now, before we do this, though, we need to put in our configuration. So we need an institution URL and a contact email address. And the reason we need those is because the Crossref API, you can use that in 2 ways. If you provide this information in your request to Crossref, then you will go into the polite users pool for the Crossref infrastructure, and that is a pretty stable environment. And if you don't do that, then they put you in the naughty infrastructure, which they don't guarantee has any stability at all. And this is their way of providing reasonable infrastructure for people that are doing the right thing without requiring us to have API tokens and mess around with all of that sort of stuff. So that's kind of an interesting approach that Crossref have taken, but we thought, okay, well, we need a way for our users to add that information because we want it to be particular to the users. Something we did add in here, and thanks for working this out, Daniel. If you don't put in an actual URL, then there's a little validator. So that will let you know. That's just a little prompt to say, hey, you haven't done the right thing. And the same with an email address. So it will tell you that that's compulsory. And if you don't put in an actual correct email, then it will tell you that as well. So there's just a little validation there. So if I have an API, sorry, not an API, a DOI.
Yeah, all you need is the number.
Yeah.
The DOI also has a validator on it.
Ah, yes. Yes, it does. You're quite right. So if I put in the wrong thing, it will tell me it needs to be in the correct format. So that's helpful. If you put in a URL, for example, it won't validate it. So there it is. Health benefits of eating chocolate. It's found it. And at this point, if we'd finished our app, you would be able to click on that and it would pre-fill your form before you send your request off. So that's as far as we got. Personally, I'm kind of excited that we got that far because I learned a lot about this, and I think it won't take too much longer to finish this off. Daniel, or did you have anything else you wanted to add? Or Bronwyn?
Yes. So with the metadata search, the intent is to provide a list of items. So say you search for a book, like a title, but you only know part of it, then you would query Crossref and it would bring up a list of possible matches. Yeah, so the intent was to allow you to click on all of that information to pre-fill, and that way it can be sent up to RapidIL, and hopefully they accept like the lending request. I think that's about it.
I think that's us, Peter. Unless Bronwyn had anything to add.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Hugh, Daniel, and Bronwyn. So are there any, if any of the audience have a question or two that you want to ask, you can pop it into the Q&A for us, and I'll just check in with our judges and see if they've got any questions they'd like to ask to help them with their evaluation.
No questions from my side. That's great.
Yes. Could the URL be auto-filled for? Yeah, I'll answer that one. Okay, so with the URL auto-filling, I think that's a feature that we eventually want to do. Just haven't had a chance to implement it yet. So, like for instance, it would pick up your institution's administrative URL, like the domain that Alma is hosted on. Does that answer your question?
We have two questions in the chat. if you're happy to answer them. We have one asking us, what happens if you change a number in the DOI? Can you please show us what happens?
Yes.
Do you want to answer this one? Or
well, I hopefully can show. Let me just. Oh yeah, sorry. I just wanted to check I had the right thing in my. You mean just to see? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So at the moment it gives you a pretty ugly error message actually, but we can clean that up. We'll make that nice.
Yeah.
If it can't find anything, then yes, it will come back with an error. And at the moment it's, correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel, but it's basically just passing along the error message that we get directly from Crossref. But we can probably customize that to make that a little friendlier.
I think we will, yeah. We just kind of needed to implement it like in a little bit of a hurry because we didn't really have much time. So, but hopefully you can see that's what happens. Is it possible to integrate this into the metadata editor? Yeah, I actually don't know that much about Alma. So in theory, yes, because you could interact with entities on yeah. So hopefully we can have that feature soon as well. Do you want to add anything else here?
No, I think that's right. I mean, it's in theory, I think we can integrate this with any screen where it's relevant. We were trying to kind of keep the scope small and potentially achievable and then kind of work out from there. But Daniel, did you, we've got a question in the Q&A from Naidu. I feel like you're probably more qualified to answer it than I am, which is how would you populate the left-hand form with the data? So I know you had a plan to do that.
Yeah, we do have plans. Yes, we do have plans to populate the left-hand form. It's just not ready yet, but it is possible with the Cloud Apps API. So we should be able to populate that form with the results because the intent is to allow you to click on that last search result, which then will fill out the form for you with the appropriate information. So you might actually check it yourself and see if it like what information you want. Oh, we've got another question. So if it matched to your holdings with that display, all it would do at this point, I'm not sure if that was in our scope in the end, but
that wasn't in our scope.
Yeah.
We'd probably have to do another search for that, I imagine. You'd have to kind of do an internal API search, I guess. In theory, yes, Janine. That wasn't within scope, though.
Okay, well, thank you, Team 1. In the interest of making sure we have enough time for everyone, we'll move on to the next team in just a moment. So thank you, and I'm sure everyone's clapping, but we just can't hear them.
Thank you.
And I'll just go back to my slides. Is that one? Rachel, would you be able to add the Team 2 members as panelists, please? And I'll just give them a little introduction. So this team is called the Slippery Slips, and we have 4 members. Catalea Tantri from University of Technology Sydney, Lani Valentine from the University of the Sunshine Coast, Jim Nichols from the University of Sydney, and Amy Leong from Bond University. And their idea is the print slip report. So this is an alternative for the standard Alma print slip report, which generates an Excel spreadsheet. And they were working on this. This came from an idea on the Idea Exchange. I'm not sure which institution posted that one to the Idea Exchange, but they might be quite happy to see a result there. So what's my participant screen, wherever that is. Here it is. So is team 2 all on board, ready to present? And I will stop sharing. Okay. Away you go, team 2.
So Peter, can I just confirm that you can see my screen?
I can see your screen and I can hear
Great.
you loud and clear too. Are you
Awesome.
doing the main presentations? Should I put a spotlight video on you?
We're going to try and pass the buck around. So
Okay,
yeah,
I'll leave it as is then. Okay.
Yeah, okay, this is the slippery sleep team, and you can see that there are 4 members, and we have Jim from University of Sydney, Kat from myself is from Bond University. I'm Amy, and we are a 4-member team, and we have Jim from University of Sydney, Kat from University of Technology Sydney, and Lani from University of Sunshine Coast. Next slide. Yeah, so here we were given the task to develop a cloud app for print sleep report. And the idea was from the Idea Exchange that has received 133 votes. Our main goal here is to create an app that will allow the user to select the data they want and print them. So no more Excel spreadsheet output where you need to hide or delete before printing. So without further delay, our team member, Jim, will demonstrate the print sleep report app that we created for We Hear You, We Know Your Dilemma, and now deliver the app that you want. Over to you, Jim.
Thanks, Amy. So here's our Alma sandbox, and I'm logged in as a circulation desk operator for our law library. And so for those who don't know this workflow, what I'll do is I'll show you how it is at the moment, and then I'll show you how it is with the app. So at the moment, if you want to print the list of your requests that you have to go to the shelf to pick, you need to go into pick from shelf. Print slip report, download, open the Excel file. Now you'll notice the Excel file has columns A all the way over to, I can't even drag them, all the way over to column AD. So in order to print this, you'd need to hide all the columns you don't want. And everyone needs to do this for every time you want to print this report, and this would be a daily report you'd do, if not more. So instead of doing all that, now that we have an app, all people need to do is go into the Cloud Center. The very first time, go into Available Apps, click on Print Slip Report and install it. And then you can open it up. So I'm at the Law Library, and I click Print. And here you can see we get a much more manageable print that we can print out. So if I print this, do I want it? So here's a simple one pager that you can take to shelf, and it has the details that you need. So let's look a little bit more about what's in the app. So you'll notice that here there's a section of columns. So these are the columns that are available to choose. And you can simply tick or untick to add more columns into your report. So here I've just added, bad choice. Let me add barcode in. And now you can see that the barcode prints out as well. You'll notice when I first went in, you might have noticed that some columns were already selected. This is because, let me bring up another window. Here I am now as an Alma administrator. Oh, that's a bad screen. And if, as an Alma administrator, when I go into the app, there's some configuration I can do, and I can set the default columns for all my users in my institution. So the first time they go into the app, they'll have these columns chosen. You'll also notice that one of the options that we had is the circulation desk you're at. It seems that for all of us, this was our circ desk codes. But if that's not your circ desk code, you can also go into your libraries and you can set the default circ desk code you want for your users, your staff, your circulation desk operators. On a per library basis, or you can set them for all your libraries. Yeah, so that's our app. Over to you, Amy.
Okay, thank you, Jim. I think you'll be on the next slide. Yes, so I'm going to speak about the design aspect. So I hope you have enjoyed our Print Sleep Report cloud app demo by Jim. During the design aspect stage, the team spent one day studying, analyzing, and discuss the concept in detail. We meticulously read the idea exchange thread to ensure that we do not miss any of the user requirements. We also involve our work colleague in the initial discussion, since they are part of the ANZREG committee, to ensure that we fully understand the problem they are facing and create this cloud app to suit their needs precisely and more. As you can see from the demo, we believe that we got the concept idea right, where you can now select the data you want and print them. No more Excel file. So we're happy to say the cloud app created and tested in our sandbox provides a solution to the problem. Over to you, Lani.
Thanks, Amy. I'm just going to briefly talk about the ease of use from a system administrator and the end user perspective. Jim demonstrated the use of the administrator to set the default columns and the circulation desk. So that allows for consistency across all circulation desks and just makes it easier for the end user to, when they go to use the app. So for the end user, it's very self-explanatory to access the app. The screen is already completed. If the administrator has set the defaults, they just click print. The print preview appears immediately. They can select another column and then print preview again. So overall, it's seamless, self-explanatory. Users can immediately see the impact of column selection by the print preview screen. Very easy to use. I'll hand over to Kat now to talk about the next criteria.
Thanks, Lani. So in terms of providing a technological solution to the problem, our app is now available on the Cloud App Center and is ready to be installed and used or tested since it's still in beta. There is no setup required, I guess, for the normal user. We've also tested it in both sandbox and production environments across our institutions, and seems to be working fine for us. I'll now mention some of the hurdles that we've faced. So first of all, we did not have access to the entities, which means that we couldn't access the list of items on the pick from shelf screen directly. So we can't use that existing Alma UI. Having said that, this also means that the users don't actually have to go navigate to that screen in order to print the list. They just need to pull up the app and then print from there. The other two hurdles on the list relate to not having access to the user's library and circulation desk details. This is why, as you've seen in the demo, we have those two text fields for users to enter the codes. The user's library should be pre-filled where the app receives it from the API, but then in our testing, we found that this only worked for 3 out of the 4 of us, which is why we've left that the field there. I'll hand it back to Jim now for the next section.
So we've got a bit of a backlog of things we still want to do with this. So we want to be able to basically simulate that Alma screen so you can control which requests print out. You'll notice that not all of the columns in the Excel file are available in the app. That's because the get requested resources API doesn't actually give us all of that data. We need to make additional requests, API requests to get that other information, and we just ran out of time. You may have noticed that I deliberately didn't ever show you the title column because it just becomes out really long. So we need to be able to limit the lengths of columns. And we also want to be able to order the columns so you can have the first column that you need. And we also want to build in some multilingual support into the app. So, Brave, any questions?
There is a question in the Q&A, which you should be able to see there,
Yep.
and it's from Patricia. Yeah, would you like to
Yeah,
answer that one?
Sure. So it can't be used for other tables. It's the API we're using is specifically about print slips. Although the idea of the app of making API calls and producing reports could be generalized, maybe as separate apps, I'd say. But yeah, this app it's specifically just about print slips.
Okay, any other questions? Were there any in the chat? I like Hugh's comment there. This is amazing. It's pretty amazing.
Thanks, Hugh.
Okay,
Right.
if we don't have any more questions, thank you so much, Team 2. That was great. Excellent little presentation. Okay, so let's see where we're up to. Team 3. Once again, Rachel, could you add those members as panelists, please? So Team 3, with a great catchy title for their team, Let's Talk About Sets. Their app is called Delete My Sets, and we have 5 members of this team. Andrew Press from Charles Sturt University, Shalboni from the University of New South Wales, Patricia Farnan from Notre Dame University, Jessie Donaghy from Bond University, and George Hayden from the University of Technology, Sydney. So, is Team 3 ready to go?
Hi everyone. I'm just going to share my screen.
I can see it.
We can see it now.
Okay, great. Thanks. Just had to try it twice, and that was what. Okay, so our app is actually called Delete Your Sets, not Delete My Sets, and we did talk about whether we should call it My Sets or Your Sets, but yeah, we went with Delete Your Sets in the end. So this is just a quick view of what it looks like in our sandbox. So our task was to streamline sets management, and it came from this idea exchange because Alma only allows you to delete one set at a time. And apparently there are a lot of institutions that have hundreds or even thousands of sets. that are obsolete, and so they wanted to be able to delete more than one at a time, which is understandable. So because Alma doesn't allow this at the moment, the short-term solution is, of course, a cloud app. So our approach to the problem was, firstly, because not all members of our team understood what sets were or how they worked, we obviously discussed that first of all. And the project scope was determined by the idea exchange idea, so that was pretty simple. So that's sort of what we talked about in our first meeting. The next step was to build like a first iteration of the app, and this was published to GitHub, and then we all downloaded it to our local environments, and then we got testing in our own time, and we obviously fed back any issues that we came across while we were testing, either in our Slack channel or via the issues tab in GitHub. During this time, we started to document everything as well, having in mind what we were going to put up when we finally published the app to the Ex Libris developers network environment. So we sort of did that in Google Docs that we all shared and worked on. And we had a couple of extra meetings where we looked at the app live, sort of noticed any issues, and updates to the app were made during those meetings as well. So I'm just going to hand over to George and Zayobo to give you an idea of how they created the app, possibly mostly George. So.
Hi everyone, I'll just share my screen. Is that going to override the slide? Okay, can you? All right. Now, can you? The app's available, has been published and is available in the Cloud App Store. I don't know if it's called that, but so you can have a look and have a go yourself whenever you like. I've just got it ready here. We've just thought we've got a bit of, if you load the app and install the app while you're not on the Manage Sets page, you've just got some instructions here that tells you the best place and how to use it. To ask you to navigate to the admin Manage Sets, My Sets page. So we'll do that. We've tried to keep the interface simple as we can, with reducing configuration and other options. And although it's very minimal, we've actually put quite a bit of thought into to keeping it minimal. And you can see here, once we're on the Manage Sets page, maybe you would expect currently, if you want to delete a set, you'll have to go in manually and then delete each one by one. And as Patricia said, if there are thousands, that can be quite time consuming. So we can see here that there's a list here which is synchronized with your My Sets list here. And it's just a simple matter of checking all or one by one and deleting the sets. There's just a little bit of usability. We put some thought into disabling the delete button until you check something. We've got a check all checkbox. A lot of this components were provided by in the Ex Libris documentation, including this select entities component. So overall, it was a really good developer experience to work with Ex Libris, with everything sort of handed to us. And we did sort of quite a bit of user testing and really put a lot of thought into what could, what might go wrong with giving the user ability such power and being able to delete so much data at once. Well, it's actually a set. It's not actually deleting actual resources, but still, if you could consider it data. So something that was uncovered was that public sets might be included in your list of sets to delete. So, which means that other people may be using them. So there's a check. If you delete these, we've got a check just that'll actually pop up a warning and let you know that there's another set. One of the sets you're about to delete is public and also could be shared with others. So it'll just give you, enable you to consider that. And what's that? And the warning won't display if you haven't got any public sets. So it's just a simple matter of deleting those, and that'll update the sets with the ones that we selected, and we'll have an alert just to let us know that it's the deletion's successful. And we also have a translation. It's translation ready for for several options, including the delete button, the instructions, and letting you know how many you've checked. So that's ready to go. And I think that just about covers it. So I'll hand it back to Patricia.
Thanks, George.
And I'll unshare.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Can everybody see that? Yeah. Okay, so just moving.
Yeah, so this one's mine. So testing and refining the app. So after George created the initial repository, we basically all created local development environments on our own machines. So when we had time, we were testing the app to see what was working, what wasn't, and through the ongoing testing and feedback, we were constantly updating the code, or George was. So through the use of Slack, and when Slack got a bit too much to read through all the updated messages, we'd set up a Zoom meeting and all have a live demo and just review each of the different functions of the app. Yeah, as others have pointed out, we were constantly refining the text content. It's amazing how many different ways that you can possibly say select the sets you want to delete from the list below. But that's what we settled on in the end. But yeah, over the course of the development of the app, everything was being reviewed constantly. So I'll hand over to Patricia.
Yep. I think I'm missing a slide somewhere. Yeah, this has all got messed up. So just about the issues that we had, some have been mentioned already, but I think we've pretty much resolved them all as far as I'm aware. And yeah, we have the link to resolved issues, and any current issues, if there are any still open, would be in this location. Jessie, did you want to?
Yes. Okay. So we all contributed basically to a Google Doc to put in all the bits of documentation that we thought were going to be necessary to share about this app. But the app is quite simple, so we didn't really require too many detailed instructions or troubleshooting guides. But basically, once we kind of compiled what we wanted to share about the app, we took that information and popped it in the App Center page. So there's lots of good screenshots there of how the app works. So if you don't have Sandbox, you can go to that URL and get a good feel for how it will work. And then we also put a bit more information into our GitHub README file. So that has some good instructions on the basics of how it works, a little bit of troubleshooting tips, and some, I guess, some additional information if you have huge amount of sets to work with as well. So yeah, our app's quite simple, so we kept the documentation pretty simple.
Thanks, Jessie. And so as you saw, we've got the translation in place for the basics in the app for one language,
that off
at least.
About an hour ago, I think. So
yes, that's right.
Brand new.
And that's all. I just wanted to show off this icon that Jessie created. Unfortunately, it didn't look very good in the live environment, so I just think it's so cute and I wish we could have used it, but we went with something more simple in the end from Font Awesome. Thank you, everyone, and if you have any questions, please send them through.
So we got one from Lani. If the user filters by content type, will the app identify only what's filtered? Yes, that it definitely will do that. So I've got 177 sets myself. So I'll definitely be filtering by content type and working through deleting my sets that way. So if I chose to only see the digital titles content type, the app would only display those sets.
Yeah, so it uses the sets currently displayed on the screen, which is why you need to use the screen filters to determine which ones you want to show.
Yeah, and you do have to obviously go through to each new page to keep deleting. So, and if there's...
Or you could expand the number of sets showing on your page as well. So you can have up to 50 sets on that page at a time.
And if there happens to be no sets owned by you on that page, then you'll get that message that says go to my sets, because you can only delete your own sets even if you would like to delete everybody else's as well. Yeah.
That's great. Jessie, do you want to just click that the questions have been answered in the Q&A? That would be great. No other questions? Anything in the chat? No, I can see some feedback in there too, that someone's already tested out live and it's working. So excellent work. Thank you, everybody in Team 3. A little applause from me. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And if there's no other questions, we'll move on to the last one. Go back to my slide. Okay, so if Rachel, if you could, am I looking at the wrong one? Next one. If you could add those participants, or attendees rather, into the panelists, that would be great. So Team 4 is called the Treasure Troves. And we have team members Kevin Lin and Ryan Zhong from the University of New South Wales, Debbie Stortz from La Trobe, although I'm not sure Debbie's been able to join us today, Kat Koh from the University of Technology Sydney, and Nishan Naidu from Macquarie University. And this is an idea dear to my heart, at least, and this is the challenge to be able to search Trove using records in Alma. So where are we at? We've got all of our participants ready for presenting.
Okay, we pretty much just have the same image. Just an introduction to the app. Our team is called the Treasure Troves, and the app is called Search Trove. It's already been published in the developer's site, but we also do run it locally. So it's already available, but still in beta like everyone else's. The main function of this app is to query Trove from the bid results page within Alma, and lets you view the number of holdings in Trove. So for now, the functionalities that we've been able to add are view the holdings numbers, view the type information about a particular Trove item, and link out directly to the item on Trove. So the prerequisite for this app is to get a Trove API key, which is the key that queries the API front end from Trove. It's a fairly painless process. We all went through it. You just need to create an account in Trove and ask for an API key, and you get it by email. So it's pretty quick too. Nish will now take you through using the app, and I will stop sharing.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can everybody see my screen now? Yep, excellent. Okay, so the app is actually published on the Cloud Apps App Store at the moment, and that's the one I'll be using. It's still in a beta stage, so there are still a few issues here and there. So let's start up the app, and as you can see, the as Kat explained, what happens is when we search for any items that present bib records in the Alma screen, the app kicks in once the page is loaded. And my key is in place. Yeah. The app kicks in and it will search Trove for the records that are corresponding to the Alma results. So, for example, let me just filter this down to English records, at which point the Trove app will then go and get the new list of records and search for them. As you can see, the records on the right-hand side have a title which corresponds to the title of the item on the left-hand side. That just helps the user correspond with particular search boxes, because the numbering, while it's good for the first page, as soon as you go past the first page, it gets a bit tricky. So as you can see from the Trove search results, there's a little number next to the title that tells you the number of records that it identified match from Trove. And so we can then drop this down and it'll show you the two records that matched in Trove. It gives you the title, the type information, and the holdings and versions that are in Trove for each of these items. So as you can see, there's a little button in here called Open in Trove, which if you click on it, it takes you directly to the record in Trove. So what's happening behind the scenes here is once the page is loaded, then the app gets a message about all the entities on that page, which include the items' MMS IDs. And then I take the MMS IDs and make a call to Alma, and Alma does a search against the MMS IDs and brings back enriched data about each of those MMS ID items. And the piece of data I need from there is the ISBN or ISSN, whichever is present, and I use that record, that identifier to then search against Trove for these specific records. So for example, for this this item over here, it would have gotten the MMS ID, done an Alma search for this MMS ID, brought back the rich bib record with the ISBN or ISSN number in there, and then use that number to make an API call to Trove and pull back the results from Trove. And this is just part of the result set that you get back. If you move to something like users, for example, let's do courses actually, because this is production data. The app will recognize that there's no entities that are supported, because the only entities that are supported are both basically bib records and requests. Requests theoretically should be working. It actually was working, and then I made a change and now it stopped working. I need to go and figure out exactly why that stopped working, and I haven't been able to do that today, unfortunately. But if we go to requests, you will still see the entities on the right-hand side because the entities are there. It's just the searching doesn't always work. But again, same situation, you'd find the records on the right-hand side corresponding to the ones on the left-hand side. So the other thing we can do, so the other thing we have obviously is settings. So settings allows you to add an API key into your Trove for your Trove. So you add your API key here. So if you add an incorrect API key, then it tells you Trove is unavailable because it goes behind the scenes, makes a call, checks that the API key is valid before it brings back a status that says Trove is either up or down. So if your API key is invalid, you won't be able to search Trove, and you get this and you don't get records. It doesn't do anything basically. Once you have a valid API key, then you can go ahead and get your results. Okay, so that's just a little bit of a usability thing. The other thing we were working on today, and thanks to Jan for doing the translations, is the ability to have different languages. And at the moment, I think we've just got Chinese done. So everything turns into Chinese, including some of the details down here. And obviously not everything yet, but as much as we were able to in the last hour and a half. Switch back to English. Save that, and yeah, and so we're back to English. There are other things we. This is pretty much about as much as we could get done in the first week or so. We have other ideas about holdings and matching holdings and pulling in holdings, information matching it to NUC records that you have, and yeah, basically, we're also looking for ideas from anybody else who has any usability features that might be able to enrich the functionality in this application. Still in a beta stage, obviously, but happy to take requests for functionality. And if anybody wants to help contribute to the code as well, even if you're doing language translations or anything like that, that would be great. And I will now hand off to Kevin, unless there are any questions for me. Cool. I will stop sharing.
Oh, you can keep the screen there. I mean, yes.
Okay, cool. Excellent.
I don't have a screen with me anyway. I mean, yes.
Okay.
I mean, yes. Yeah. So, hello everyone. So, yes, you probably see. Yes, this is basically the things that we have done for the past few days, and it was just a shame that we lost Debbie midway. I mean, yes, due to some personal matter, and we actually running out. We are running out of idea of what do we try to put into the app in order to do, because I think most of us in this group are actually developers, and we don't really work inside Alma with most of the things, but we do go away and actually get we have some idea coming in from other colleagues over the weekend, but we just haven't have time to actually to look into it and to investigate what we can do with the app in order to help them to do something. But this will be something that we will be keep on working with this app, because you will see this is we have the version number 0.5 beta, but that is from yesterday, starting from 0.2 and up to today 0.5. So we are expecting we will still work on this app and keep on improving it. And there's a few bugs that we need to work out as well, because yes, something like Lish has mentioned, the settings, the translation, and we also have some experience on the app didn't work quite well with different browser, because it looks like there could be some issue for the app to work with the edges, but not with Chrome, as Chrome seems to be the best browser to deal with the app, but Edge may seems to have some problems. So that is something that we still need to iron out. I mean, yes. So yes, as Rich has said, I mean, yes, we are welcome to input any ideas or any suggestion on the functionality to be put into the app. Yes, and yep. So that's it. I'm able to do the chat box in Alma to affect what's happening.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you. That looks great. Looks like there is a question has come in. If someone in the team wants to tackle that one.
Nice to be able to use the chat boxes in Alma to affect what's
So the question there is, could this app be used to integrate or search the mark from Libraries Australia?
That's a good question. I think it can, because I think the data in
Well,
Trove is primarily contributed from Libraries Australia. So a lot of the records are Libraries Australia records, and I believe you do have the capability of doing all kinds of searching against. Actually, I'm not sure it's Mark. I think they've got an enriched Dublin core data set that you could use, but I'm not 100% sure about Mark, unless you had some sort of mapping you could do, perhaps.
Well, I think for the idea, I mean the mechanism is there. I mean, as long as if Library Australia has an API interface that will be able for people to pull back Mark, I mean to pull back Mark XML or whatever, then I believe it will be doable. But of course we are not able to answer this right now. I mean, yes, because we're just not sure if that features or function is available. I mean, yes, but yes, but similar mechanism. I mean, if there's an API available, if that is the data available, yes, we believe we can probably do similar things in Alma with Mark. I mean, yes, because we do. One of our colleagues did mention about pulling the data back from Trove into the metadata editor. But yes, but we only got the idea back from the weekend, and we actually haven't had time to actually look into it to see whether we can actually possible to implement that or not. So, but that will be something that we look into in the future. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, if there's no more questions, we will we'll move on to the next thing. So thank you, Team 4. Great work. If you could stop sharing your screen, Mitch, that would be great. And I'll put my next slide up, because now we get to some interesting times. Let me share. That's the one. I think that's it. Okay. So what's going to happen now is our judges are going to go off and confer. And Rachel, can you just turn off their video and mute them from here while they go and work in their breakout area? That would be great. And on the screen, you can see there the poll, and this is how you can vote on the best app, the one that you think is the best app or most useful to you, your favourite. So if you put that link into, if I can find it, I'll even put it in the chat. I've got so many windows open. If you put that URL into your device and go to it, and you should be able to choose the one that you like the best. So there you go. If you prefer to send a text message, you've got the number there and the words to vote for each of those teams. So that's that. I'm going to move on to my next slide. Those details are still going to be on the screen there. And is Amelia available and online for us? Amelia Littlechild from Ex Libris. I've lost my participants again. Amelia, there she is, and I'll invite her to be a panelist. So yes, Ex Libris has been really good in helping us organise this event, and they've also are the prize sponsors. So if Amelia is ready, I'll hand over to her to say a few words.
Thanks, Peter. Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you I haven't met, my name's Amelia Littlechild. I'm working as the software sales specialist for Ex Libris. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank everyone on behalf of Ex Libris for your participation in such a fantastic hackathon event. It's been really inspiring to see the ANZREG community come together from institutions all over to really collaborate and and share ideas to create apps, and all within the space of a week, which is very impressive given all of the participants obviously have day jobs to manage as well. So, and there's been some wild weather as well in some parts of Australia over the past week, as Peter mentioned earlier. So, yeah, a big achievement for all the participants. Yeah, I mean, it has really been fascinating to watch the participants today and hear about the problems that people were able to solve, and also the process of how each of the teams have really worked together in a virtual environment to come up with solutions. Certainly, this event has attracted people's attentions from all over thanks to Twitter, and it's fantastic to see ANZREG leading the way globally on this initiative too. And I think this event will inspire Igloo and Aluna, those user groups in North America and Europe, to drive such a fantastic event as well. I also just wanted to extend our thanks and appreciation to the Hackathon Planning Committee as well. So Peter Hopkins, Rachel Selby, Amelia Rowe, and Sue Harmer, who have really been working tirelessly behind the scenes to make this event happen, which is quite the feat, as I have observed over the past couple of months or so. So yeah, with that, good luck to all the teams, and I will hand back over to you. Thanks, Peter.
Okay, thank you, Amelia. Got so much going on in the background. What we're going to do next is we're going to have a bit of a break while we sort out what's going on with the poll. I think I put the wrong link into the chat, everybody, but I can see someone else has popped that in, so I'll post that again. We're going to have a break and sort out what we're doing in terms of the judging, and we'll be back with you in, say, about 5 or so minutes, hopefully. So please hang around and wait for us. Okay, hopefully we've still got everyone here, and we've got some announcements to make. So hopefully everyone's that we need to be in the panelist group is here. It looks like they are. So that's great. So I'm going to hand over now to our judges, and we'll hear from them.
Kate and Josh, did you want to say any words first, or should I dive in? Oh, there's a kitty.
Yes, I'm struck. Yes. It wouldn't be a Zoom session without a cat. I just want to say what a remarkable job from everybody addressing some real issues, and I know they're all real issues at my institution at the University of Otago. So I just want to congratulate people for developing apps that really address real issues, but also for developing apps and doing demonstrations that I understand, because I don't have a very strong technical background. So I really appreciate that. It made judging a lot easier. So well done, everybody, and thanks a lot.
Anything from you, Josh?
Yeah, I'll just, I can't start my video, so I'll just add that I think it's really amazing the work that you were all able to do within the short time provided as a part of the hackathon. It's really, all the apps were impressive, both from the requirements and the problem that they solved and the user experience. I was especially impressed with all of the work that you did to incorporate the feedback of the non-technical users to make sure we gave appropriate user messages and validation messages. And I really think it's a great start to continued work. And I hope that it was an inspiration to others as well in the ANZREG community who can continue to build additional apps. And this is certainly not the end. The nice thing about these apps is that they can be continually updated and improved upon. And so, we can see iterations in the future that might add some additional features. solve some additional problems down there. So really, really great work, everyone, and hope you had fun as well. It's important, no less.
Thanks, Josh and Kate. And I'll just reiterate that it's just really been an awesome demonstration of the strength and the innovation and the drive of all of the members, all of these members of our community. And it's a credit to all of you just to take even the time out of your busy days and away from your real jobs to work on this together over the whole hackathon, over a week's time. And of course, thank you to your institutions as well for releasing you over this period to participate. Like Kate, I'm not a developer myself, so I tend to see this sort of development as quite magical. But we all know that it's actually really hard work and smart people behind the scenes that actually make these things happen, and also a strong focus amongst library folks in general on improving the user experience, whether that be for our user communities or for each other as library staff. And in addition to that, I wanted to say thank you at this point to see how it's been wonderful to see how great and engaged and supportive ex-Libris have been over this whole hackathon. I've heard great things from Peter, and it's wonderful to see how much the work of our community is recognised and acknowledged in this way, just with your time and your expertise as well. So thank you to Josh and your whole team. But enough about that. So we're all waiting for the big announcement. And I'm pleased to announce on behalf of our whole panel, our best app winner, which is Team 3, which delete your sets or delete my sets. So that is Andrew Press from CSU, Jabo Ni from UNSW, Patricia Farnan from Notre Dame, Jessica Donaghy from Bond, and George Hayden from UTS. So well done, everyone. Yay! Back to you, Peter.
Thank you very much, Stacey and the judges. That's really excellent. So we'll be sending out a digital badge to those winners of the best app as well, and along with your prize, which will be coming your way. And in other news, I can announce the People's Choice results. So with a very healthy 40% of the vote was Team 2, Slippery Slip. So well done for, I think, the alternative print slip report has really struck a chord with everyone. So well done to them as well. And you'll also be getting a digital badge coming out to you. Okay, so the last slide that I have, and I just want to say a few thank yous here as well. To all of the participants, great work, everyone. I know some people went into this with a bit of trepidation, thinking, I'm not a dev, I don't know what I'm doing here, but everyone sort of just really ran with it. So I hope you all enjoyed the experience. I want to thank the organisers as well. On the ANZREG side, Amelia Rowe, Rachel Salvi, and Sue Harmer from some from our committee, and Sue from our former committee member and long-time ANZREG contributor, helped organise it. On the ex-Libris side, thanks to Osha Belinsky, Caitlin Grammer, Amelia Littlechild, Josh Weissman, Ori Miller, and Ayal Namati. And I want to send an extra thank you to Josh and Ori and Ayal, and some other team members as well who even helped out on their weekend for our Friday drop-in session. So they had some very early starts with the time zone. So thank you to all of them. Thank you, audience, for joining us and participating today. And let's call that a wrap. And let's see, we might have another one next year, some other time in the future. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Really great.
Thank you to Peter, who has been amazing.
Amazing efforts. Agreed.
Thank you very much.